Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from PettyRevenge. Story 1 is by Queen of Hack and Whack. Oh, so there's snow on your car? You poor thing. And an excessive amount of periods. Years ago, at the huge nursing home I worked for, we had a princess. She had a bug up her butt toward me for some reason. Maybe because I was the go-to person to get things done and she was not. She would be overheard complaining about me to her pals. I would just laugh. I lived about 10 miles from the worksite, and during the winter storms, I was the one that would pick up my coworkers along the way in, some of whom would call out sick because they didn't want to clear their cars or shovel the snow to get to work. That's BS. So this one storm, it snowed overnight and all the next day. Cars were covered at 3 p.m. I hit my remote starter before leaving the building, put on my snow pants, grabbed my push broom, and headed for the parking lot. My 4 passengers were already starting to clear off my car when I got there, and together we carried on. Well, here comes Princess, just her uniform pants under a fancy cashmere coat, V-neck, fur collar, fancy high-heeled leather boots, fancy leather gloves, carrying a pizza box along with her fancy handbag. She is parked right next to us. "Oh my God, look at my car," she whines, standing there as we're clearing 8 inches off my car. Almost done, just doing the headlights and bumpers. I stop and look at her for a moment in disbelief that she just realized it was snowing. "No worries, I'll help you," I say to her. My passengers are now banging off the snow brushes and getting ready to get in my car. Yes, I handed out snow brushes. When we go to work, we all took them into the building, useless if the brushes are in a car covered in snow. I take the pizza box from her hand and set it down on the snow-packed hood of her car. My passengers are pissing themselves trying not to laugh out loud as they pile into my car. I keep as straight a face as I can get, leaving Princess standing there with her mouth open. She found another job somewhere about 6 weeks later. The poor thing. Snow on her car. You know, this one would almost be mean except for the fact that she's been complaining to other people about you in the past. It would almost be mean if you were just being mean to her because she's Princess all dolled up in a cashmere sweater and you didn't help her. But it is what it is. If she wants to gossip and complain about you behind your back, it's only fair that you just place her pizza on top of the cold, icy snow. Our next story today is by Meanderist. Petty with the breaker box, rude neighbors. I lived in an old house with multiple apartment units. I had the entire first floor and access to the basement near a side entrance. The upstairs neighbors hated me for reasons never clear to me. When I would start the shower, I could hear them run to their bathroom to flush the toilet, which would cause the shower to briefly only run scalding hot water. They also played loud music and jumped around at random times. I learned to start the shower but not to get in it until after hearing the toilet flush. I had politely asked them not to play loud music late at night and tried being nice until they found my motorcycle pushed over. It was always chained against my stair railing with a cover on it. I couldn't prove it was them, but it was out of sight from other people and it seemed logical that they did it. One day the power went out and the landlord asked me to check the breaker box in the basement stair next to my unit. It was just a local power outage, but it gave me an idea. When their music was loud, I'd shut off all the power to their unit, not others. When I was getting ready for work, I'd step down the stair, flip off the breaker, and enjoy the silence until I was ready to leave. Anytime they were loud, I'd cut their power. The neighbors continued to stomp around the apartment and try to scald me in the shower, but the noise was never an issue again. The peak of my retaliation came on a very cold winter day when I realized the units had separate furnaces located in the basement. I turned theirs off and waited. The landlord called to see if I had any issues and said he would come look, but couldn't get there until much later. I turned it back on just before his arrival. The landlord asked all the tenants if they were experiencing any issues, but everyone else said it was fine and never figured out I was the culprit. I'm not proud of my pettiness, but I still smirk when I think of this. Fair's fair when you have upstairs neighbors that are horrendous and loud. If only the world could construct individual units to live in across the entire world, with enough room for whatever size family needs to live in them and enough soundproofing so that you're not bothering people who live near you. I'm all for trying to resolve things diplomatically or by talking to people, but if you can't, I would say it's deserved. Our last story today is by Various Olive 5072. Mess with my kids and find out. $, buy truck. I'm 34 female and I have lived in a very nice part of a conservative Oregon state for 5 years. And this is not an easy state to be accepted in when you have a family of 4, male 38, kids 10 male and 7 female, from OC SoCal. It's like we've been transported to another planet. And shout out to parents, it's been awful dealing with the staring parents at the school bus stops. Oh my God. They stare at my style, hair and tattoos like I'm an alien. I refuse to wear leggings, so it's like they take that as a personal insult. I've always avoided the lot of them and kept a polite distance, get my kids and bail, but there was one mom that was like the leader. I even heard her say once, "Yeah, I'm the neighborhood mom, in case blah blah." She drove her husband's huge truck and thought she was great, revving it up and down the street. Our apartment complex, all the families that wait at the stop live here, was within eyesight. It was so close. I walked every day to teach my kids not to be lazy and not to be afraid of the weather. I always kept my distance, but what made my skin crawl is the woman couldn't park the truck. It was the first in-person school year since COVID, and she was parking on the sidewalk directly in front of the corner that the bus pulled up to. I was the only parent that walked each day despite the weather. On one particular day, there was snow on the ground. She and one of the other creeper moms were sitting in the truck with the windows down, so I actually stopped and said, "Hey, do you mind not parking on the sidewalk? It's hard to get by." Completely calm, just a passing comment. She immediately responds with, "I drive a big truck. Deal with it." I was not expecting that reaction at all. Her friend was closest to me on the passenger side, frantically trying to roll up the windows, but at the last couple inches, I came out of shock and said, "Then learn how to drive it, then walk away." The next day, I walk up the sidewalk and there she is in the rain, now blocking the sidewalk. I call the non-emergency police line and they said they will keep an eye out on the corner for afternoon drop-off. When the afternoon comes, there is a black Tesla sitting there with gray lettering that says police. Truck lady pulls up on the sidewalk, not seeing him. She's bumping 2000 techno and has kids jumping around. He walks over and talks to her and leaves. I then get a call from the officer to offer some comfort, I guess. He gave her a ticket for driving with kids not in their seatbelts and gave her a warning for parking on the sidewalk, forcing people to go around her into the street on the icy ground. He told me to call again if she keeps doing it and to stay away from her. She's an angry person. I don't see her till next week. Guess where she parks? I call the officer's direct number he had given, and he comes within minutes, pulling right along her truck. All the parents are staring. But I do notice that the friend that had been in the truck is now staring at me. I stared straight at the street ahead of me, praying for the bus to appear because I was trying not to laugh. I have always left these women alone, kept my distance. It's been a couple years now. One of their sons went up to my son and told him, "Did you know your mom is a bad person?" I never did anything, never approached the parents. I ignored it and used it as a lesson for my son. Now I've found out how far her new tickets have added up to. She racked up $800 in tickets. She hasn't gone to the bus stop since. I eventually figured out she does still live here. I haven't seen her at the bus stop since the second cop's interactions. I see her driving around. Now she drives an ugly little gold Honda. I'm the last person that wants to mess with you. But if you won't stop, what can I do? Update. The story of the truck. After the final ticket, she stopped showing up at the bus stop. But I eventually figured out that she still lives here because she drives by every day in the morning, and in the afternoon, her kids still go to the same school and she's on the same schedule. I see her on the same driving schedule and she stares at me over her shoulder, but I don't know how she could know I had any effect on the situation. This year, 2025, I have seen her at school events with a new man, so I don't think the husband just took the truck away on a timeout. I think the husband left her at some point and literally took the truck with him. Add-on, keep in mind that I did not call anybody to report her driving with kids hanging out of her truck or the back of the truck. I only called to see if they would keep an eye on the bus stops because in the bad weather, people were parked on the sidewalk. I didn't report her license plate or anybody specific, so the day she rolled up with the kids all over the truck, the cop went up to her on his own. And she argued with the cops, yelling that she does this all the time. The kids weren't even hers. She was doing carpool. The reason she was at the bus stop was to pick up her kids that take the bus with my kids. There's no reason that she should say to you, I drive a big truck, deal with it. She should move her vehicle because she's doing something that's basically illegal and very finable. You cannot park on a sidewalk just because you have a bigger vehicle. The best part about all this, I can guarantee you that there's parking within eyesight of where she's been parking. I can promise you that's the case. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have an infallible day.